Example, I'm going to show you how to move a image around the screen using your finger. Let's open a new project in Xcode. View-based application, product iPhone, and let's call it Touch and Move. Alright, now I have one image for this project. It's an image of a basketball. It's a PNG. You want to drag that into the resource folder, copy items to destination group. And now in the classes folder, we want to add some properties. So go to Touch and Move H folder, and we'll write a little bit of code. Let's delete these comments and zoom in. Okay, so in this project, we're going to need three objects. We need a UI image view to place our ball in, star. We're going to call it ball. We need two UI labels. The first label is going to be called x-coordinate or x-coord, and the second UI label will be called y-coord. What we're going to do is we're going to place, as you move the ball around the screen, we're going to place the x and y coordinates into these two labels, x-coord and y-coord. And the last object we need is a CG point. And this is going to be called start point. And we don't need this star for this one. Now let's do properties, non-atomic, retain, and the first three are IB outlets, and copy image view. Alright, second one, non-atomic, retain, IB outlet. By setting an IB outlet, that makes it accessible in Interface Builder. Okay, xcoord. Alright, now the last one is, this is all the same except for y-coord. Okay, and the last thing we need to set is the CG point that we made. Do property. We don't have to do non-atomic or retain because it's only a point. We just have to say CG point and the name of our point, start point. Okay. Now before we hop in Interface Builder, let's jump into our .m file, and you can do that by just clicking on this thing, and that flips. This actually flips back and forth between the .m and .h file. So in your .m, let's just quickly synthesize those properties. So what do we have? We had a ball, the x-coord, the y-coord, and the start point. All right. Okay. Now we've got that all set. Let's hop into Touch and Move View Controller. So pop that open. All right. Now we need to first, let's put two labels on the screen. Got a label, and make it nice and big because we don't want the text to get cut off. And then one more label and stretch it out. And then we need a UI image view. UI image view, put that right there. And then as long as we put our ball should be in the media tab of the library. Just drag that into the image view. A lot of the students were not putting these images in image view. You got to put it in an image view for you to move it around. Let's make it small enough so it doesn't take up the whole screen. So now in Files Owner, right click on Files Owner, and we should see our ball, our x-coord, and our y-coord. So let's connect the ball to the image view, and let's connect the x-coord to the first label and the y-coord to the second label. Once you've got that set up, go ahead and save Interface Builder, and then go ahead and quit out of there. All right. Okay, now back in the .m file, let's write three functions. Now these are functions that that every UIView listens for. The first one is called touchesBegins. This function gets fired when someone first touches the UIView. The second one is, if you click escape, you get a list of the different possible properties. We want touchesMoved, and then finally we want TouchesEnd. So these three functions, they fire, the first one, touchesBegins, when someone immediately presses on the screen, it fires this bit of code. TouchesMoved whenever someone moves the screen, and then TouchesEnd when it's ended. But we're primarily going to want to use the touchesMoved to move the ball around. Now to move the ball around, we need to first get the touch event, and we'll put that in a property called myTouch. And what we grab this touch, and we say any object that we touch in the UIView, that touch, which is an event, will get placed into this variable called myTouch. Okay, now we want to use our start point, and we'll make the start point the center of the touch. And to do that, we get the location of the touch in our view. Location in view, and to navigate to the view, so we're in self and the view is in self. Okay, now at this point, if we wanted to move, like the start point has an X and a Y, so we can say ball center equals CG point make, and we can say start point, and it has an X and a Y, as you see. So we put the X in there, and then for the other side, say start point Y. So that'll move it around, but we also want to put start point in our labels. So we have two labels. The first one is called xcode. We want to get the text property of that. And right now start point is in numbers, so we need to change it into a string. So ns string, and I think it's string with format. So the format for our text box is going to be ampersand. So x equals %, and then the number's a float, so you put an F. Close the quotations, comma, and here is the variable that's getting placed in there. It's start point x, and that's good. So the next line is basically the same, it's just for the y. So y chord, and we need to change this to a y so it prints out, and then start point to a y. Okay. The other thing I want to show you is we want to put some print statements on here before we run it. We want to print F just so you can see that touchesBegin is being fired. Begin, and I'm just going to put a little line break in there so it's easy to read. And down here, do the same thing, but this is going to be TouchesEnd. These are just print statements so you can see what's going on, because we're not really using these two functions. And this is going to be touchesMoved. And just so you guys know this, if you do \n, that's a new line character in your console. That's going to bring up it's going to make a soft return to make a new line. So save and build and run. Oh, we got an error. I forgot my semicolon right there. And one more time. So now it's building. So if I click, you're seeing the X and Y. So the way this works is when my ball is over here, the X and Y is 0. As I move to the left here, the X is going to increase. And if I move down, the Y is going to increase. And that's how the ball moves into 2D coordinate space. But I want you to see these touch events. So if I build and run again, in our console here, the moment I touch, you should see touchesBegins and TouchesEnd. So if I touch begin, but then I move, it's moving, and then when I let go, TouchesEnd. Just once again, I touch begins, then I move around, and then TouchesEnd. So these functions, the touch begin is fired when you start touching. TouchesMoves is fired whenever someone moves their finger, and then TouchesEnd is the moment they pick up their finger from the screen. And that's the basics of using the touch on the UI views.